Welcome back. It is my birthday week, and today we are diving into 6 life lessons that I refuse to gatekeep from you guys. And these are things that became really important to me or very apparent that they should be important to me over the last year of my life. And I wanted to share them with you guys so that you can bring these lessons into the next year of your life. And today's episode is going to be a little bit more of a chit chat style, relax, less kind of education, right? A little bit of a coffee chat style. So get comfortable, sit back, relax, and let's dive in. I personally think it's really important to take a beat and reflect on your year when your birthday rolls around. I know some people aren't big birthday people, and as you get older, it does get a little bit more daunting. I'm not going to lie, right? It's kind of like another year, another wrinkle. Joking. Kind of. But in all seriousness, birthdays have a way of bringing some serious reflective energy to the forefront. It makes us think about all the things that we accomplished, or maybe the things that we didn't. It makes us think of all the great things we are grateful for that are in our life that year. And it makes us think about all of the lessons that we learned, good and bad. So that is what we're going to be focusing on today. And without further ado, let's get into it. So the first lesson, this isn't going to seem kind of like common sense, and this isn't a new lesson for me. This is more of a reinforced lesson, is that health is wealth, period. At the end of the day, your health should always come at the forefront because it is so important and how it impacts all other areas of our life. Oftentimes we prioritize things in our life like our career or our social life, but if you're running on stress hormones, 5 hours of sleep and caffeine, nothing else you do in your life will truly thrive, right? You'll just feel like you're surviving. You're barely making it through. Your hormones, your metabolism, your energy, your mood, these all thrive on how well you treat yourself from a health perspective. You need to be treating a meeting you make with yourself to go to the gym or a meeting you make with yourself to do your meal prep with the same importance as you would treat a meeting with a colleague or your boss. If you keep canceling on yourself, your body will eventually push back and you will really feel the repercussions. So prioritize your sleep. Get your essential vitamins and minerals through eating real whole foods. Lift weights, walk daily, drink the damn water. And I can speak from experience. Every single time that I let myself be put on the back burner, I started feeling terrible. If you don't make time for this right now, your body will force you to make time for this later on. Usually when you least want to, because it's become so run down, it's going to force you into a longer period of taking time away from what you really want to be doing. This can show up in ways like getting sick, having an injury. It's going to force you into a place of slowing down. And trust me when I say I have learned this the hard way. So now it's really important for me to keep a baseline foundation of non-negotiable tasks that I do throughout the week to support my health and to really listen to my body to take extra rest and give it extra nourishment when needed. Lesson number 2 is that if it is not a hell yes, then it is a no. And this one is so important because as women, we have been so conditioned in society to people please and to make decisions to cater to others. And we are constantly over-explaining ourselves, over-apologizing and over-analyzing and worried about what everyone else is going to think. And we often make decisions out of fear of judgment, fear of failure, and at the end of the day, don't even really have a true connection to what's best for us or what we truly want anymore because we're so impacted by the exterior. Now, a little disclaimer here, right? This is not me giving you permission to say that like, you're not going to go to the gym today because it doesn't feel like a hell yes, right? We're talking about making decisions for what's going to benefit you and the future version of you, not making decisions based on what other people want from you or what's going to benefit other people. Half the time we're saying yes to things that we do not want to do at all and we know are going to drain our energy completely just because of the fear of saying no and offending somebody else, or making it an inconvenience for somebody else. And to all my recovering people pleasers, I can sympathize. My boyfriend literally made a joke the other day. We were talking about my walking pad and how much I love it. And he was saying he should get one. And I was like, oh, well, we could just share mine. And he was like, well, no, because you're going to end up always giving it to me and not using it because you're going to feel bad. And then you're going to say, oh, you can just use it. It's not a big deal. And then you're not even going to be using your own walking pad. And this is exactly something that I struggle with, right? I always feel like my natural inclination is to want to put others first in every situation, even when it's at the detriment of myself. I'm not saying that you need to be selfish and you need to not consider other people's opinions. If somebody in your life is important to you, of course you should be considering their opinion and how your choices are going to impact both you and them. But at the heart of things, we need to stop making decisions and putting ourselves into a position that compromises us to benefit others all the time. You need to protect your time, your energy, and your peace because nobody else is going to do it for you. And this is something that you can start practicing by before just immediately responding to something. Like when somebody asks you if you want to go somewhere or if you can do something, practice taking a beat before answering. Our first inclination is to just like, yes, man, right? Like, yes, 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 even when the answer actually deep-heartedly is no. So taking a beat to just pause and consider can be really helpful in trying to make a transition in this habit. I also said earlier, right? Like, don't use this as an excuse to like skip your meal prep or skip your workout because it doesn't feel like a hell yes in the moment. But you also need to ask yourself, like, if you feel so much resistance to doing something and you need to constantly convince yourself to do it, then maybe that specific way of you doing something isn't for you and you need to explore other options, right? And something that can be really helpful with this is building a stronger relationship with yourself again, right? First of all, building more self-trust and trusting yourself and your intuition to know when something feels right or wrong, but also taking the opportunity to explore. Like maybe if something doesn't feel really great for you, then trying something else and seeing how that fits, right? And how that feels. An example of this is like maybe you really don't like going to Pilates classes. You see everybody doing Pilates right now and you're like, Pilates makes people fit, which is a conversation for another time. But you see everybody in their Pilates girl era and like you just don't like Pilates, then okay, you don't need to stop working out. You can find another workout that fits you and feels more like a hell yes. There is no one size fits all, one right way to do things. Like we are all unique people and that needs to be embraced. Lesson number 3 is that your environment equals your results. This might be one of arguably the most important lessons I have ever learned in my entire life. If you look around your environment, this is going to be the people that you spend time with, the content and information that you consume, as well as the physical spaces that you spend your time in and what the energy of those are like. This is all leading up to shaping you into who you are. You know that old adage that like, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with? This is so true. If you have ambitious goals for yourself and you want to succeed, but you surround yourself with people who don't prioritize or value growth, health, positivity, you can't really expect your life to reflect that of something that's not around you in your atmosphere. I see the impact of this so often on the negative side of things with my clients, right? They're coming from a place where they're trying to make change, and the people in their life, albeit their partner, their family, their friends, are having a negative impact on them. And they feel like they're caught in the middle between making decisions that benefit them for their growth versus satisfying or placating the people that are important to them, right? So, a common thing is that they'll want to have a weight loss goal, but their environment is constantly bringing in junk food, asking if they want to go out to eat, guilt tripping them into thinking that like they're being boring, they're the party pooper because they don't want to go out and party. Then they feel like they're caught in the middle of this situation. However, for me personally, this past year, I saw it on the flip side. I saw the positive impact that this can have on your life when you really upgrade your environment and adjust your circle and what you're exposed to. I was able to go to conferences and make friendships and connections with people that are very like-minded to me and able to resonate with me on a level of personal growth, spiritual growth, growth in my health and fitness journey. And it's just crazy how much more aligned I feel with everything when I have people in my life that are on the same page as me. It's like I feel like I have a community of people I can talk to that inspire me and lift me up and bring this positive aura to me. Between my partner, who's very invested also in his own health and fitness and his own personal development and spiritual development, alongside the friends and business connections that I have made through these experiences. Another way this lesson showed up for me hugely this year was in what I was mentally consuming. So this is referring to the content I was consuming, the music I was listening to, the TV shows or movies that I was watching, how much time I was spending doing those things, the podcasts, audiobooks, books, all of this kind of stuff that I was consuming. And historically, I would watch a lot of TV. A really bad habit of mine is putting TV on in the background while I'm working or doing something and just like kind of like subconsciously like listening and letting it play, while also listening to a lot of secular music, a lot of rap. Hip hop is historically what I've listened to the most, alongside like more trendy pop based stuff. And aside from that, consuming a crap ton of social media. But this year I made a concerted effort to shift and be more conscious of what I was consuming. So the first thing that I did was I went on Instagram and unfollowed hundreds of people. Like I unfollowed probably about 500 people that I found no longer aligned with my values or did not provide any sort of value to my social media experience. And when I say providing value, of course, like I follow a ton of creators that are educational or bring like specific learning or growth opportunities. But I also follow comfort creators or creators that allow me to feel inspired, right? But a lot of the people that I was following, especially in the fitness industry, were just because of the way that they looked. It was like, oh, they have a nice body. So naturally, I'm going to follow them for motivation or like to see what they're doing to try to copy them, which ultimately led to comparison syndrome and constantly made me feel like I needed to look like that or I needed to be doing what they were doing. And that just wasn't providing me any positive outcome. So that was really, really helpful for me because it started bringing more people into my feed that were the things that I did want to see, that were the educational topics, the uplifting positivity, and the inspiration that made me feel better on a day-to-day basis mentally. Another big change for me in this department was really reducing the amount of secular music that I listen to, especially in the rap and hip hop genres, and replacing that with Christian-based hip hop and or worship music. If you're not spiritual, that's totally fine. But for me, this had a profound impact on my mood day to day and made me feel so much more positive and just lighter. And especially I never really paid attention to it, but I do really believe that this does impact our subconscious mind. And I would even like go to the gym and just kind of like mindlessly listen to the music, like not really taking in the lyrics, but, just like bouncing out to the beat of the music. And then when I started paying more attention, like I would listen to more spiritual based music for a while. And then I'd have one gym session where I'd just like, be like, whatever, I'll like listen to my old playlist. And when I started actually taking in like what it was saying and like really processing it, I'm like, why do I want to listen to this? It's just so crazy how your perspective shifts when you take a step away from something and then come back to it. And another big shift that I made here was getting away from watching so much TV. I honestly don't really watch TV anymore unless it is a Saturday night and Phil and I, my boyfriend, watch a movie together. The odd time I have like a guilty pleasure TV show that a new season will come out and I will make time to watch that one specific show. But I really shifted away from just like watching mindless TV, especially reality TV, and pivoted more to filling that time with personal development content. So whether that is listening to podcast episodes or watching YouTube videos, or sometimes listening to audiobooks that are in the nonfiction genre, but that is what I replaced watching a lot of TV with. But this has really allowed me to focus on having a growth mindset and to continue focus on moving forward in my life and continuing to better myself, opposed to just numbing out and trying to get a constant dopamine fix. Lesson number 4, and again, this is another one similar to lesson number 1 that is not necessarily a new lesson for me, but more of a revisited lesson. That is that discipline beats motivation every single time. And I am somebody who likes to pride myself on my mental toughness, usually following through with things that I don't necessarily want to do, but I know is good for me isn't something I struggle a huge amount with. However, if you have been here for a while, you know that I went through a really rough period where my hormones were really messed up. I had a lot of gut issues and I had to really take a step back from my normal fitness routine. And I found it really, really hard to come back from that, because I had been out of this routine of just going to the gym X amount of times per week and doing my meal prep in a certain way and just going through checking all of the boxes from these habits and routines I had built that had become so second nature for me. Taking 6 to 12 months away from that and doing things completely different, I had to really train myself to get back into this mindset of being disciplined. We all go through these cute little bouts of motivation where something peaks that feeling inside you to make you want to make a change. But it can be very challenging to overcome that hump and not be stuck in this cycle of like the motivation loop of being motivated, falling off. Something motivates you again, doing it for a bit, falling off. And it's not about perfection, it's about consistency and building discipline. So for me, I had to almost relearn and retrain my discipline muscle because I had been in a period for so long while I was, healing. I say healing, I was actually healing, but it was like, taking a large step back away from what most people would consider being on point with your fitness goals, and you just have doing these little air bunnies. And it was honestly a lot harder than I was thinking it was going to be, right? And obviously I had been there before, I had done it, I knew that I could do it. And I do know, like logically in my brain, I know the benefits of showing up and doing it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's always easy. And it does take commitment and it does take effort. So a couple of the things that helped me build back my discipline muscle were accountability and structure. Now, accountability, I worked with a coach for part of this past year, and that really, really helped me having that added layer of accountability, somebody to check in with, somebody to report to, somebody else who I knew was invested in my consistency and my results other than just myself. So I will always advocate working with a coach, even as a coach myself. You'd think that you get to a certain point of your health and fitness journey where you're like, yeah, I know enough now. I don't need to work with somebody else. But that's simply not the case. You're always going to benefit from having a secondary perspective from somebody else, as well as that accountability and having the structure. You are always going to be more likely to succeed when you have a plan to follow, whether that's your workouts, that is your food plan, that is you scheduling things into your calendar to make sure that you are following and doing things when you need to do them, a set amount of sleep, a bedtime, a wake up time, a meal prep day, all of these things, right? When you take the effort to implement a structure, a repeatable structure where you are doing the same things at the same times weekly, give or take a little bit, life isn't perfect, you're going to be more likely to succeed and build that discipline muscle because you need to get in the reps. That's essentially what building discipline is, right? It's doing the same thing over and over and over again, disciplining and conditioning your mind to continue to do it consistently. So when you have a repeatable structure, that is always going to be 10 times easier. Fifth lesson is to be the main character of your life. And I know this sounds like a little cliche and it's kind of, the whole it girl trend, like main character energy, but it's true. This is your story. It's your life, and you only get to live it once. So you need to stop waiting for the perfect time, watching life happen from the sidelines, seeing other people accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, but you're too scared to do, and stop shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable. You need to start acting and thinking like the best version of yourself, like the person you want to be, or that transition is never going to come. And part of becoming the main character of your life is discovering yourself and really building a relationship with yourself. Part of being the main character in your life is romanticizing your life as well. We get so caught up in the mundane, everyday activities that we just go through the motions and every day blurs together. And before we know it, a week has passed, a month has passed, a year has passed, and we have maybe a couple highlights to look back on. And we're like, where did this year even go? Like, I don't even remember it, right? Life is not just about the destination of a goal and like getting to a goal. It's about the journey as well. So we really need to remember to romanticize your day-to-day life and the journey of where you're trying to get so that you can enjoy the moments on the way to getting there. And to stop rushing everything. What is the rush? Enjoy the process. And alongside this, do not be scared to spend time alone. Part of being the main character of your life is truly getting to know yourself. Who are you at your core without everybody else's influence around you? Your partner, your family, your friends, all of these people who love you will still be there when you get back from taking some time for yourself. Take yourself on solo dates, do inner work, do reflective work to figure out who you are, what you like, what you want. Trust me when I tell you that if you do not have the answer to these things away from everybody else's influence on your life, it is going to be really hard for you to find true purpose and fulfillment. You need to find out what truly makes you happy. And I think I did a really good job leading into this lesson this year. I spent a lot of time rediscovering who I am as an individual and kind of taking a trial and error approach to what my hobbies, what my interests are. I really wanted to make it a goal this past year to spend more time by myself. And I think as an adult, it can be very hard because you spend so much time adulting that you get lost between work, eat, sleep, repeat, right? Oftentimes the things that are done for fun, joy as an adult are like going out for food and drinks. And we kind of forget that there are other things that we can do to bring us joy or light in our lives, right? It almost seems like, this kind of childhood wonder of like having hobbies and interests is like a luxury that we don't have time for, which, honestly isn't true. We have time for what we make time for, but it can be easy to be caught in that trap, right? So I wanted to make it a priority to kind of rediscover some of that. So this year I really made it an effort to go on a lot of solo dates, whether that was going to a coffee shop to do some work or, I guess it's not a solo date, but like meeting up with a girlfriend to do work at a coffee shop and have some girl time, some social time, had some girl days, going to the spa or, going to the beach, stuff like that, as well as kind of self-care appointments, right? Going to get my nails done, stuff like that, making time for myself, spend some time by myself. But I also really explored from hobbies and interest standpoint. I really got back into reading. I guess that was more so 2023 and 2024. But I really rediscovered my love for reading and have been reading up a storm, as well as creative projects and spending a lot of time doing creative activities, right? I am a very creative person and I'm very in my element when I do work creatively. So these are some things that I'm passionate about that I had a lot of fun rediscovering and bringing back into my life. And the final lesson is that sometimes you need to slow down to speed up. And the most important part is that that is okay. I know I've talked a little bit about this already about, leaning into health as wealth, listening to your body, as well as talking a little bit about listening to your intuition of if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. And also, learning yourself and what's important to you by being the main character in your life. But sometimes in the hustle culture that we live in, we feel guilty about slowing down. But the reality is that there's a time to hustle and there's a time to flow, especially as a woman. We are not made, we're biologically not made to be go, 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 go. This is why we have that hormone cycle that ebbs and flows throughout our 28-ish day cycles. And we are not mini men with 24-hour hormonal cycles. So by taking periods to slow down, it's not failure. It's actually strategy. And you can make that work for you, not against you. By giving yourself permission to rest, recharge, and refocus, you're able to move with more intention and get further ahead than you would just pushing the pedal to the metal, eventually leading to burnout and needing to take a large step back. For me, I learned this by going through an extreme burnout phase that caused me to need to slow down for 6 months. And that set me way further back, not only in my health and fitness goals, but in my personal and career goals, opposed to having just taken periods throughout the month to slow down and give myself more rest. I was constantly forcing it, pushing it, go, 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 and super in my masculine energy, which really hurt me in the long run. Now, what I practice is every month I try to be really super productive in the first couple weeks of my cycle after, day 3 of my period, all the way up until the back half of my luteal phase. I try to be really focused and intentional with my time and my schedule and listen to my body in that period of time. And then I give myself a full week between being in my luteal phase into the first couple of days of my period to really slow down. I plan to sleep like 9 hours a night in that part of my cycle. And I have really slow mornings and I book in less client calls and I do things that I know are going to require less energy potential for me in that week. And I really try to stack the other weeks where my energy is at its highest. The big theme in this entire episode today has been building a better relationship with yourself and becoming more intuitive with your inner self and your body, right? So the more that you develop that, the more you are going to be able to lean into your natural flow. I hope you guys found these lessons helpful. And just to recap, what we have learned is that health is wealth. You need to listen to your intuition. And if it is not a hell yes, then it is a no. Your environment, who you surround yourself, what you consume is so, so important. Discipline beats motivation, and exercising that discipline muscle is really what's going to bring you success. Be the main character of your life because you only got one, and that sometimes you need to slow down to speed up, and that is okay. And if you had a main lesson that you resonated with the most, or there was a main takeaway, I would love to hear that from you. So if you want to drop that in the comments of the video or on the podcast, wherever you were watching or listening, I would love to see that. And if you liked this episode and you found it helpful, I would love for you to share this with a friend. That is how we are going to grow this podcast and this community and continue to help women just like you. My goal and my mission is to continue to give women the education, the tools, and the power to make the decisions that are going to be best for them and to allow them to step into the best version of themselves. So I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you next time.